Today we're going to be reviewing area of polygons. These are things that you probably learned in elementary school, but we're just going to make sure that everybody remembers how to do them. So first up is area of triangles. The formula is half of the base times the height. We have two pictures here, two examples. One thing to note is that the base and the height of a triangle can be found as the place where a right angle is made. The base and the height always make a right angle with each other. So you always want to be on the lookout for this little box, which indicates a right angle. So it's not always necessarily the side of a triangle. It might be a measurement that they give you inside the triangle. So let's start with this first one. Example A. So the base and the height of this triangle would be, the base is 10 and the height is 8. The other 10 over here, we don't even need. That does not make up the base or the height of the triangle because there's no right angle symbol. So using my formula of area equals 1/2 base times height, I can do 0.5 for my 1/2 and 10 for the base and 8 for the height. And you are allowed to just put all of that into your calculator and you will get 40. And area is measured in square units. For this second one, the B example, my base and height are 6 and 8, so I'm going to do half of 6 times 8. Or if you do in your calculator, 0.5 times 6 times 8. You can also just do 6 times 8 and then divided by 2. But either way, we're going to get half of 6 is 3, and 3 times 8 is 24. All right, moving on to parallelograms. We have just the formula area equals base to height. And again, base and height can be found using that right angle symbol. That's how we know it's the base and the height. So for example, A, we're just going to do 22.5 times 12. You are welcome to use your calculator as long as you show your work. And remember, your work in this case is just what I wrote down, what I'm putting into my calculator. I'm going to get 270 feet squared. For the next example, base times height is 13 times 18. We're actually not using that 15 at all, even though it seems like we should be using 15 and 18. Those are not the base and the height because they don't make a right angle. So when I multiply these two numbers, I get 234 centimeters squared. And it's square units because it literally means I could fit 234 squares inside that shape if they were 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And lastly, we have trapezoids. Trapezoids have this formula. It's still base times height, but a trapezoid is different than a parallelogram because it has two bases that are different lengths, right? So we have to average those bases and then multiply times the height. So for example, let me get a smaller, guess I can't. Oh, yes, I can. So the base in A are 100 and 120. I guess I got too small of a highlighter there. You can identify the bases because they are parallel and opposite. So in the other one, my base are these sides. Base does not mean top and bottom. It just means the parallel and opposite sides. And then the height is going to be the distance between them. So the height here is going to be the 25 and the height here is going to be the 3. Again, it doesn't mean up and down. You're looking for that right angle symbol to indicate the distance between the bases. So the formula is the average of the bases, call it base 1 plus base 2 divided 2. That's like the average of the bases, and then multiply it times the height. And if you think about it as the average of the bases times the height, then you won't have to memorize that messy formula. So for A, the bases are the 100 and the 120. We know those are the bases because they're opposite and parallel. Then we'll divide them by 2 because we want to average them, and then multiply by the height with 25. We're not going to use the 30 at all. It's not one of the bases and it's not the height. So we're going to do 100 plus 120 is going to give us 220. And then 220 divided by 2 is 110. And then I'm going to do 110 times 25. I'll just do that in my calculator, and I get 2,750 meters squared. And for the last example in these notes, I'm going to average the bases. Those are the ones I highlighted in orange. They're 4.5 and 5.5. I'm going to divide it by 2 because I'm averaging them. And then I'm going to multiply by the height, which is 3. Not 3.8 because that side does not make a right angle with the bases. So 4.5 and 5.5 is 10. And then, of course, 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 5 times 3 is 15. So the area is 15 inches squared. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.